The Cubs they have an upside projection of 85.3 at Pacoda, which I don't think is out of line given the talent on their roster. But again, past the Theo Epstein era, rumors that they might trade Baez and Bryant. If you want to be an optimist on the Cubs, they were probably the most vocal group of players about the lack of in-game video preparation last year. Baez said that was completely what was driving his struggles. Brian kind of said similar things, Wilson Contreras. So I would be slightly optimistic about the Cubs with the talent that they currently have on that roster, but I don't know if that talent's going to be there in August. So again, not really a team I'm interested in playing on or against.
I don't like the Cubs whatsoever. I think it's worth mentioning that for years in fantasy, Javier Baez has started off the season just ice cold for the first 2 or 3 months. And we never knew if it was weather or if he just didn't get, spring training just didn't. So he's had some spring training, some marches that were really good down in Arizona. And then he would show up and just not play. And I always figured it was, cold weather. But you look at last season, 158 ISO, 57 weighted runs created, 32% K rate. Those are terrible numbers. So there's nothing about the Cubs that I like. They're, third lowest WAR of any pitching staff in the NL. Hendricks, Jake Arrieta is going to be a fade every time that he's up. Alec Mills has a fastball, I think, that tops out at 88 miles an hour. And Craig Kimbrell, their closer used to be elite, no longer elite. He can't locate a ball in the last 2 years. His walks per 9 is just climbing at an insane rate. So throw them out.
By the way, the Cubs rotation, the top of the rotation, with Mills, Hendricks, and Davies, who throws harder, them or us three, if we were the top of the rotation?
I'm just sad that we don't get the chance to fade John Lester and just an absolutely beautiful signing by Chicago, replacing him with Jake Arrieta. Those two back-to-back in the rotation would be magic.
Could you imagine how many open
and Davies and Davies is my favorite fade.
Could you imagine series prices? How much we would have hammered 3-game series prices if it would have been Davies, Lester, and Jake Arrieta all to up for the Cubs.
Lester, yeah, and then man, I'm going to be fading Lester a lot again this
with
year.
That bullpen on top of it. Craig Kimbrell. Yeah. You fade Lester Arrieta, and then they get a lead, and Craig Kimbrell's coming in to close it out. You're rubbing your hands together. You get a second shot. So,
and there's nothing good getting to Kimbrell. Yeah, this
we're gonna bet a lot of overs. A lot of Cubs games are going over too.
Yeah, look, it's especially there might be some value in the Cubs over. Obviously at home it's so wind dependent, but look, their pitching is a mess, and then I expect their offense, at least while they keep these pieces, to bounce back. They just all had bad years last year. So maybe there's some value in Cubs overs early in the year for sure.